Hey everybody, Dr. Dunlop from Full Arch Masters, and we are here at the completion of another Full Arch Masters flagship course in Fresno, California, June 2024, and I'm joined by a doc who has just finished his Full Arch Masters experience. You got a few hours left on your journey here, but why don't you just say hello and introduce yourself and tell us kind of your background and what brought you to Full Arch Masters.
Okay, I'm Greg O'Donohue. I'm practicing in Green Bay, Wisconsin right now. I've been placing implants for nearly 20 years and slowly progressing to full arch. And last year, we realized we needed to convert to a digital workflow. And so after several classes and a few dead ends, I saw you on Facebook and saw some of your stuff, checked out the class and signed up. And I think this was the first one that was available. So we signed up like at the end of last year.
Okay.
So here we are. It's been a great class, and I'm looking forward to putting into practice our new workflows and
into action.
Yep.
And who's this lovely lady sitting next to you?
This is my office manager and wife, Katerina. She's been with me on this journey.
Definitely a journey.
It is a journey.
So, you mentioned that you guys pretty much are a two-man or two-person operation in your office right now. It's hard to find quality help, and you're doing a lot of this stuff together. So you took the time to come out here and learn this together, which is amazing. What are you looking forward to getting back to the office and helping put all of this together?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of like your class showed me, we kind of knew where our weak spots were, but it's made it obvious for us. So I'm going to get some changes in my schedule, get these consults more effective from my, perspective.
Right.
And just, make some changes in new patients intake, how the consult's going to go, that kind of things.
Administrative systems to help make your practice more efficient and successful. That's great. You mentioned that you said that you had reached a point where you realized you had to convert to a digital workflow. That's a very interesting comment because not a lot of people are there yet. You realized pretty early in the game that you had to pursue a digital workflow. What made you realize that you had to do that?
I guess social media, seeing what other offices were doing, actually it's probably more lab-based, seeing what labs were doing and inquiring of those labs what I needed to do. And they kind of answered a few questions and, said, this is what you need to look for. So we started looking for that. And it's just breadcrumbs, like you said, leads you here, and then you find, what do they say when the student is ready, the master will appear. So
wow,
here I am. The student,
that's a soundbite if I ever heard.
The student was ready and looking, and it took me a couple of dead ends to find here. And I think with your program, which I told you yesterday, it's the whole deal, and we really appreciate that. Some of these other programs are an inch deep and a mile wide. They give you little snippets of everything. You get the long overview, but no connecting the dots, nothing that puts it all together and makes sense. It left me asking more questions and like, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I get from this step to this step? And what's the entire process from start to finish? So seeing that here made me realize, well, we have probably 80% of all that.
Right.
And it was just those simple little things to connect the dots and get the right, lab support is critical. So really appreciate what your lab is doing and what they can do for us. That'll be the final
linchpin.
The linchpin, the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the technicians that you met, they love working with docs who come through the course. They get the knowledge, they get the systems in place, and they start doing their own cases. And then those technicians get to help support those cases, and you feed back into the system how great things turned out. And even if they don't turn out so great, we fix the problems together, and then it's a journey.
And we have the basis for communicating now.
Exactly.
So that's really important.
Exactly.
Communicating with my current lab and, them telling me what they need and it didn't make sense to me, and me telling what I need and they didn't quite understand. Like there's been times where I literally would hang up on my lab because I was talking to somebody who just didn't get it. And then I had to like draw it out for them and email it to them, and they still didn't get it. And it was very frustrating.
Well, the problem with many labs, not all, but many labs in this current era is that there's one or two people in the lab who understand things very well. And just like any other business, they have trouble bringing people on board and training them. So you end up talking to somebody who doesn't really understand what you're trying to do. And there's one guy or one gal there who does, but they're off doing other things. So you don't always have access to them.
And my one guy had been promoted up the ranks, so it's very hard to get in touch with them.
Exactly.
To get it fixed.
So you got exposed to a tremendous amount of tech, a lot of technology in this course. Was there anything that stood out or was new to you? Or you mentioned you have a lot of this. Was it just the synthesis of that stuff, or was there anything that stood out as like, wow, that's really interesting technology?
I've been exposed to photogrammetry. Used it in my office. Not my lab. One of my labs brought it in and did a case with me, so that was helpful. One of those old pieces you screw in.
OptiSplint.
OptiSplint, yeah, thank you. OptiSplint I'd seen. In fact, I have their website bookmarked on my thing, but I never saw it in action. They don't have a how-to or any YouTube videos, at least that I could connect to. So seeing that put together makes a whole lot of sense and how it's used. So until our camera comes in, we'll probably use OptiSplint. And like you said, probably have it anyway as a backup.
Very important to have that. Yeah.
Seeing that
redundancy
and doing the hands-on, it makes sense. Like when you're seeing it, just flat photos on a website, it's like, okay, how does this work?
Right. What is that really? But when it's in your hands,
and it's not hard.
Right.
Not hard at all. No. So that was good. I have Exocad and a 3D printer, so I've been playing with that. Went to some classes, so have seen it all. But again, just the little bridges between some of the steps will make things a little more smoother with our transition. So
that's great. Well, you used you're a good spokesperson. You use the quote "inch deep and a mile wide." That's very true of a lot of training courses. They try to give you just enough to get you interested and then get you signed up with a program or a lab that costs you more money. Here we want to have the opposite approach. We want to be 10 miles deep and an inch wide. We want to take you all the way to the bottom and have you build that back up.
Right.
So the fact that you can notice that really is telling, because that's my philosophy. Is I don't want to be just a brush over course. So 4 days of doing nothing but digital full arch. What's one or two of the take home things that stood out to you?
One that it's not as difficult to get it all done in one visit. Whether it's a 1 arch or 2 arch case, and when you have the proper support. With the labs behind you, and you have all the data, and you have the technology to get the data. Next thing is just a little bit of practice to speed up our processes, and just doing it, make it happen.
That's good.
So
you're ready.
We're ready. We're excited.
Ready
like I said,
we've
been living and breathing this for nearly a year, trying to get this, and so now it feels like everything's
going to line up.
Come together. It should make the whole process just a lot smoother, a lot more functional for us.
So picture a doc out there somewhere in the U.S. or abroad, and he's you from a year or two ago, and he's trying to put all this stuff together, and it's just not working. What would you say to him if he was on the Full Arch Masters website, ready to hit enroll, but just like, I don't know if I should do it? What would you say to him?
I'd say don't waste your time with other programs. I've done that. So do it, get in, get it done. If that's your goal is to do full arches, I would definitely highly recommend this as a place to start.
That's good. Well, I appreciate your time. You guys, it took a lot of effort for you guys to get here. Like I said before, you guys are running the whole operation, and I'm sure taking a week off and coming here is a big deal. So I appreciate that. We put a lot of time and effort into trying to make this as fruitful and as engaging and fun as possible. So again, I appreciate you taking time out of your lives and your families and coming out here to learn. So from my team to you guys, I want to express my gratitude for you guys as well. So
we thank you. And we noticed that too, your team is fantastic, from the lab to the assistants and everybody. It seems like you have a cohesive team. They're all focused on this. So that really made an impact. We noticed that. I've worked with great teams in the past. I can recognize a great team. So I compliment you on that. That's hard to do. I know.
It takes a long time and a lot of work to build that kind of infrastructure. But, FAM team, if you watch that's a shout out to you guys. So
For sure.
Again, thank you. And honestly, my favorite part of the course is when you guys finish and you go back and we're able to help you implement some of this and help you start doing cases this way. You'll see the benefits of it so quickly. Your patients will respond so well to it, and your practice will start to grow in the right direction.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that also is something that struck me from the minute of the first call. When I said, this is what I'm looking for. I don't remember if it was who I spoke with, but
maybe Amy.
Probably Amy. Yeah. Bad with names at age. And I said, this is what I'm looking for. And she's like, well, once you come to the class, you'll have access to our lab and all of that support after the class.
Right.
Whereas a lot of these other digital classes, they've got nothing afterwards. They can't even direct you to labs that can work with their systems or what they teach.
Right.
So that's one of the things I felt was, very, very disappointing. Like, I wasted my time and money going to this class because I got a little bit of information and nowhere to go with it.
Right.
So, that back end support it's worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. And then it's just the beginning of a journey. The journey starts now. Even though you finished a course, the journey starts now, and we're going to be there hand in hand, step for step with you to make sure that you are successful in your next few steps, because that shows that we're successful in what we tried to impart.
Yeah.
So your success becomes our success.
Fantastic.
So best of luck to you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time, coming all the way out here and spending the better half of a week with us. And I wish you guys, honestly, the best of luck.
Great. Thank you so much.
So thank you for tuning in to another version of the Full Arch Masters podcast. I'm Dr. Ryan Dunlop. We are at the conclusion of our Full Arch Masters flagship course in June 2024, and it's been a great course. We've had some amazing doctors, some amazing teams from all over the country coming to our facility to learn laboratory, clinical skills, administrative systems, all in one place. I couldn't have said it better myself. So I appreciate you tuning in today, and stay tuned for more, and have a fantastic day.